today we're talking a little bit more personal. What I'd love to do is look at your history and kind of how you got into the industry. So, might be a little bit interesting this type of format, but I'm really curious. Like, tell me about your upbringing and kind of how you grew up and what kind of interested you in this space.
Well, actually, one of my favorite stories to tell. So, dad was in the military, Air Force, well, Army. He did the green to blue thing. He was, I think, he was in the middle of that, but he got a commission, Army, and then went Air Force. Decided to get out, but we spent a lot of time on military bases and a lot of time around airplanes. I had family that flew airplanes. I spent a lot of Saturdays in Tuskegee at the airport. I'm from Montgomery, so I spent a lot of time in Tuskegee, actually hanging out with Tuskegee Airmen. Like, no joke. Um, like some of these generals, um, you know, like Colonel. I mean, like that was a normal Saturday.
Yeah.
Loved aviation. Um, as a kid, I used to draw pictures of airplanes, a lot of World War II fighter style airplanes and everything. Um, Ended up there's an essay contest at school. I was at Danley Elementary School. Never forget this. Um, Probably 11 years old. Uh, and I have the certificate still. It's in pristine condition. I won an essay. Well, technically I lost it, but the girl who won it couldn't do what the prize was, which the prize was to fly with Chuck Yeager, the guy who broke
Mm,
the speed of sound in the
mhm.
Bell X-1B. Somehow I ended up getting it. I think I actually won it because I don't think she knew anything about airplane. I think she was just, going after this, just writing for the contest. They notified me, hey, you got it. You're going out there. Um, I show up at Maxwell Air Force Base, and the
Mhm.
guy who I read about, and mind you, I'm still reading books in black and white about him, you know, at that point, and all I could think about was this X-1B, the orange speed of sound airplane. But he's standing there, Chuck Yeager, and he's like, "Get in the airplane, let's go." We get
So at
in,
11 years old, you
yeah,
got to fly with Chuck Yeager.
11 years old, Chuck Yeager, and I will send you the document if you want to see it.
I'm gonna
Um,
need some receipts on that. That's incredible.
yeah, man. So it was a young Eagles flight that it
Mm,
was promoted through, and I got in the back of a 234 Mentor, I think. Is it 234? 238, 234. I think it's 234. And An old Navy trainer or Air Force trainer is one of them he had. And I flew as 11-year-old. And it was crazy because when I got in, the canopy, they slide back. So
mhm.
tandem seats. He has his back, he has mine back. And we get ready to take off. And I'm like, do we need to close these? It's like, no, we don't need to close them. Oh yeah, they're fine, you know. And I'll never forget that moment. Seatbelt on and sitting in this, this dome halfway open, taking off. I don't even remember the takeoff that much. I remember though when he said, "Hey, take the stick,"
Yeah,
and I'm like, "Okay." And
yeah.
so I did this, and then I was like, "All right, I'm done." Um, But that triggered it for me. I ended up joining Civil Air Patrol the next year,
Mhm.
which is an auxiliary of the Air Force. Got in that, flew there, stayed in that till I was 19. Got out, got back in my 20s. Got out, got back in again. Things have changed. I was Civil Air Patrol a lot, so um, no longer a part of it. But it allowed me to experience some cool stuff. But yeah, man, flying. I attribute it to, yeah, Chuck Yeager and my parents making that available,
That makes a
the
whole lot
ability
of
to go
sense,
fly.
you know, understanding now that your interest in, like, Blue Jar, the foundation, and the institute, and all of that, it was so impactful for you. It's really cool. I'm sure you can relate to, hey, why are these programs important, right? And if you look at your
Pretty much.
trajectory and how impactful that was as an 11-year-old boy to where you're at now, it's like you still can go back to that. to that
Hmm.
moment flying with him, you know? Yeah.
Yeah, I go back to it. I could see it. I remember the weather. I remember where we were at the airport, on Maxwell Air Force Base at the strip. I mean, I remember all of it. Yeah, and it was something that I love to share. Hard to replicate that moment, though.
So how did you go from that to, like, what was, like, your college years like, I guess? Like, once you got out of high school and that sort of stuff, you obviously have this passion and this interest in aviation.
Mhm.
How did that shape your college years and kind of defining more, like, early career advancement, that sort of stuff?
So college years, I ended up becoming a cheerleader, and that kind of
Oh,
took over life.
okay.
Yeah, so I was a cheerleader in college and got a scholarship doing that. That kind of took over, well, my focus.
Mhm.
So college, I knew it was there, but I think I was just trying to do college and not really going any deeper. And
Yeah.
I had cheer and uh, yeah, and college was not that easy financially. So definitely one thing about flying, and I wasn't exposed to it anymore. My parents aren't into aviation, and the family that did that it wasn't aviation. They were actually I had moved, so
Mm.
just wasn't around it. And the school I went to, UAB, there's no aviation anything.
Right, it's mostly medical, right?
Yeah, mostly medical. Just do some engineering, whatever. So yeah, no. So didn't really get to stay in touch at all in college.
What did you study in school at UAB?
Uh, I studied 3D design and art, and then I actually got into business education.
Okay,
Yeah. So in
interesting.
high school though, I was at a magnet school. My magnet was aviation.
Okay.
That's what we did all day.
So then getting out of college, what was kind of that early career? I guess you kind of like, cheerleading's over. So you're like, what are the
Yeah,
next steps? And that's always a hard transition for anyone,
yeah,
even if
definitely.
you're in a very specific field, even then it can be difficult, translating from college to, okay, like, what am I going to do with my life?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, out of college, I got married pretty quick, and that's when I had a chance to kind of dive back into it. And I
Mhm.
started working with an aviation company, doing IT for them, and
Okay.
then that kind of rolled into, all right, I'm gonna go get my license, and
Mm.
started pushing that pretty hard. Um, yeah, so yeah, pretty much that kind of opened the door again,
Gotcha.
where I had the means to go fly. So, but also working for the aviation company, I never got to fly with them, but I was always in airports or something around aviation. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You're always hanging
And there
out in the
were,
hangars and that sort of thing.
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah, always there, always seeing it, touching it, feeling it. Yeah. But yeah, that kind of kept me going for a few years until I was able to start taking lessons.
Okay. So then how does that translate then? Like, when did you switch over from doing IT, for a company to thinking like, "Man, like, I wanna run my own show," Like, when did that switch happen for you? Because I feel like that's a little bit uncommon. A lot of times I hear, entrepreneurs and that sort of thing, it's almost like from birth. They were like, "Yeah, I just knew the moment I stepped foot on the planet, I
Yeah.
couldn't work for someone else, I had to do my own thing," and that sort of stuff.
I think I've always dabbled in business since I was since I was in high school, and then really seriously at 19 years old, opened my first company. Um, the When it got really real for me, I was I was started moonlighting, doing different odds and end IT jobs, audio video jobs, and just
Mhm.
kind of messing with that, seeing how I liked it. And I know a lot of people call solopreneurship a company. It's not a company. You're working to pay your bills, and it's a corp to corp relationship versus a company. But there was a pivotal moment when I heard this guy on the radio. He asked the one guy. I was driving one night. Never forget this. He goes, "What's your definition of entrepreneur?" And the other guy goes, "Someone who has a unique distaste for being manipulated or controlled." And I was like, I about yelled. And I mean, I'm driving down the road here in Hoover. I about yelled. I was like, "That's me. That is me. I can't stand it."
Yeah.
And I had worked my way up to where I had some high paying corporate IT stuff going, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I realized that's me 100%. I hate it. And
No, that's how I
that's
felt when I left engineering. It was like this weight was kinda lifted off, and there's
hmm
I tell people, when you're in those type of roles, the company by and large doesn't really care about you, and I don't know why you would care too
no,
much about the company, like and I don't mean that
yeah,
like the company I was working at was incredible. My boss was amazing. I have
right,
0 bad things to say, but, like, the whole, like, water cooler gossip type of aspect of it, I absolutely would not at all, like, I was a blank canvas. I had no personality there. Like, I was there to be an engineer, to do the job, and, like, not step on anyone's toes.
right,
But
right.
it's like that scene in Jerry Maguire where he's like, "I have lost the capability of bullshit." Like, he's just
hmm
I'm like, that to me has never appealed to me. I I want to enjoy my work and, like, really connect with people, and yeah, you're gonna have moments where they will drive you up a wall and you have some hard conversations, but I would way rather have that than just this lukewarm, yeah, everything's great, pretty good all the time, like, to me, I gotta have
hmm
that dynamic aspect to it, so I can definitely relate with that. I think a lot of people can who
Yeah.
at least starting out are interested in it.
Yeah. And I definitely read some books like The Art of the Start, How to
Mhm,
Leave a Company and then start your own. And a lot of it is BS, like except for one part, which is you got to take the best of what you have there, take that
mhm,
with you, the
mm,
systems, the controls, the wisdom, like all that stuff, the best practices, take that with you. But
mhm,
they don't care about you. I mean, the grand scheme of things, if you're at a company, I work for Cardinal Health, uh,
mm,
thousands of employees. The CEO and anybody else in the C level does not care. They don't even know who I am,
right,
about leaving. But I will say, I definitely left, and then I tried to go back actually, and I knew that I wasn't going to last.
mm,
I knew it wasn't going to last. So, but yeah, I took the dive, and um, I think it was like I started in 2005, kind of off and on. 2015 is when I knew 1,000% that I could never be a contractor. I could never do anything else other than run my own company. And that's
mm,
really when it got like really fired up. But before there, I did it in IT. I had a lot of people, but no passion. So now I've got passion and people, so it works out good.
yeah. So when did it switch for you then when you were like, "Okay, I'm doing this." How did you select government contracting as like,
Yeah.
"That's for me. That's what I wanna run my business in," because it's such a unique industry, I feel like a lot of entrepreneurs is like and I think everyone kinda struggles with this a little bit where it's like, "Okay, I wanna do my own thing, but what problem am I solving? How am I entering the marketplace?" That sort of thing. So was there
Mm.
like a natural progression for you? Was it like, "Oh yeah, I knew so and so from this and it just kind of fell into place," or were you intentional about, "No, I want to find my space in this industry?"
It was 100% something has to happen. IT was capping out because I wasn't like an MSP. I wasn't, I didn't have 50,000 clients or, I didn't have like regular clients. I was doing, one-off installs, cabling, whatever, anything to pay the bills. And somebody started talking about government contracting, the money they were making, the consistency and all that. And that was it for me. I was like, yeah, let's go. And yeah, I went and got my 8A certification, and then I literally just started going to. Um, I'm going to everything and anything I can in Huntsville.
Mm,
Find my way in. And one day, yeah, somebody was like, "Hey, um, we we need this help. We can't do it anymore. Uh, can you step in?" Now, mind you, 2 months before they said, "We don't need anything from you. You know, you can
mm,
leave our office." But they called me back. They're like, "Yeah, we actually need your certification," and
yeah,
um, and that was it. So I just kept after that, man, just kept going. Didn't really look back, and kind of set a goal. Like 2021, I set a goal to find my way in it, specifically like aviation, and that's where like now we've actually won aviation contracts. So we got a big one out in California doing flight training for the Air Force Test Pilot School.
yeah,
So like Yeah, I mean, it's been a road. It's been a freaking road. I mean, not fun, but we have active Air Force contracts. So we have, Air Force on the training side, manufacturing. So yeah, I mean, but for me, it was a dive in. There was no straddle the fence. There was no, you know, I'll wait and see what happens. It was like something has to happen because
So for
I
you,
have
it's
seven
just
people.
like, okay, we just got to keep, I got to just keep introducing myself, keep making those connections. And even if they're like, hey, please leave our office, you're like, we'll see. And you just go to the next one till one of these guys who's connected gets you in. Um,
Yeah,
was
pretty
there
much.
any like burnout with that for you, or how did you overcome that? Because I feel like that I've done that before, like especially with the medical side, there was a lot of that. Like when I tell people that start, we were building software for PTs and we had a unique idea, this sort of thing that we're trying to get out there. So I literally just went to every single PT in my area. There was 52 different offices, went door to door to every single one of them. We ended up working with four. So like you do the math on that, it's like most days I'm out there, I probably got 10 or 15 done in a day, most of
Hmm.
the time you get no's, and
Right,
so
100%.
like how do you get over were you just like I'm confident we're going to make it, like is there somewhat delusion in that, or how do you overcome that burnout?
Oh man, I don't know. I had to remind myself of that radio interview.
Mm,
I just had to keep telling myself, unique distaste for being manipulated or controlled. My options were very few. I don't have a bachelor's degree, a master's degree.
mhm,
I have an associate's in IT. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And so I couldn't go get a decent paying job, and I just had to keep telling myself like I don't want to get a job, so I'm gonna have to do this. And prayed a lot, worked a lot, and I remember days driving my brother-in-law's beat up Toyota Camry that he put rims on and it had no shocks. It was green. It was just horrendous. I drove that thing. Oh man, I mean, I drove. Living in Birmingham, going to Huntsville, couldn't afford to
yeah,
spend the night up there. Um, Trying to go to every function, Chamber of Commerce, and all this. But you know what? After a while, you figure out what's valuable and what's not,
yeah,
and the burnout gets better when you stop showing up to everything and kind of have your targets and know what you're good at. And that
yeah,
takes years. Some people for me it took years. For some people probably it's probably faster. But for
okay,
me, it took years. And it was a semi-miserable experience. But the first check I got, that first check, man, after getting it all set up, uh, first check was it's like, all right,
yeah,
you can do this.
yeah. So how long did you go from, because I feel like adding employees, and like what you're talking about, when you're going from that solopreneur kind of, hey, I've got this vision, I've got this drive, I'm going to do it, to, okay, now I've actually started to make enough to where I can start hiring people. That transition can be very difficult. Like at what
Hmm.
point did you go, yeah, we've got, was it money in the account or like contracts enough, or with the job, was it like, hey, we got this contract and it requires 3 seats? Like, I'm just curious, when did you make that jump to, okay, now we're running a company?
So 2021 went after something pretty big. 2022, uh, we didn't get it, wrote it again, won it, and that was when it was like, okay, let's start hiring people.
Mhm.
I had like one person kind of subcontracting whatever for me, and that's what kicked it off. Was yeah, there was a contract big enough to pay a salary, and of course we hired the wrong people. Uh, if we hired good people, we hired bad people, and we lost a lot of money and time with the bad people. Good people kept things going, so we ended up we started swelling. 2022 to now, yeah, started hiring people. Got a big building in Huntsville. Bought another company. Then got another piece of another company. Hired some more people. Uh, I'll actually love acquisitions now more than building a company. I think building is terrible. I think it's a horrible idea. I think I mean, I think acquisitions is way better, especially in defense. Uh, But yeah, yeah, it took a few years. So it took 4 years basically to get to the point where, all right, we got something good enough to hire people on.
Mm,
So yeah.
yeah. So now kind of learning that story, just where are you guys at today as kind of like an accomplishment of all the work you've put in? Are you like happy with where you're at today? Obviously, I have more plans, but I'm just curious, like scope today, what does that look like?
I mean, a guy like me is never happy where I'm at. I will say that I'm grateful for where I'm at. Uh,
Mm,
and sometimes it's miserable where I'm at. I think the last 4 years for me have been tuition, yeah, paying tuition and getting my degree in doing business with commercial and the government.
mhm.
It's been I literally went to Harvard and
Yeah,
did master's, doctorate. You know what I mean? I'm
yeah,
signing up for doctorate right now. But the good thing about a doctorate is you get paid.
yeah.
You know what I mean? But masters, I had to pay for that. So yeah, I think uh, I think it was. I mean, we're in a good place. I mean, but yeah, it was tough. It's tough.
What are you most excited about looking forward then?
Using all this wisdom, using all this knowledge, man. That's what I'm looking forward to. I gained a ton of information. Now I consider myself very lethal, very lethal, to the point that I could go run somebody else's company, and yeah, yeah, it's yeah. I want to use it. That's my thing now. Use the information, use the knowledge, and get more. And kind of Andrew Carnegie. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I mean Dale Carnegie, Andrew Rockefeller, whatever his name is, John Rockefeller. I don't know these guys. I don't know, but yeah, Dale Carnegie, Napoleon Hill, um, all these folks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just
Taking
want I
all
just want
that
to use the
knowledge that
information.
you've learned over the years and learning how to, like, apply it in an impactful
Yeah,
way, that type of yeah. Yeah.
yeah, 100%, 100%.
Yeah.
That's where it's at, man. Yeah, I didn't realize that was the most valuable thing. People and information, they're everything. You can convert that to money, you convert that to time. Uh, but I will tell you one thing I gained over this time was definitely faith. Um, this is people ask me, Randall, I want to get into government contracting. I'm like, no, you don't. You really don't. You won't be able to weather it. You know
Mm.
what I mean? You got to have a lot together, and my wife definitely, you know, maintaining a marriage during this. There's a whole book right there, government
Yeah.
contracting and relationships. It's pretty bad. I mean, because the time it takes, and it just is what it is. They say the government is a jealous master,
Yeah.
and you gotta put the time in.
Yeah.
But yeah, yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks for the time. For anyone listening, we're doing this every Friday. So if you learned something, comment below, that sort of thing. We're excited to get these out and start connecting with more people in Huntsville, and hopefully it was helpful. So, yeah. All right. See you next week.
All right, man. See.